the news of the day, Mayor Eric Adams in New York City says they are going to lift the mandate that New York City employees must be vaccinated to perform their jobs. That will allow, he didn't say this about Kyrie, but that will obviously allow Kyrie Irving to begin playing in Nets home games. There was no date given. Some people are throwing out March 15th, but there is no official date yet that's been given. Here is Mayor Eric Adams.
I can't wait to get it done. I'm really proud of how we responded as New Yorkers. I always stated I'm going to follow the science. I'm not going to get ahead of the science because I'm ready to get ahead of all of this. But I look forward to the next few weeks going to a real transformation.
Well, and you know what? I'll say this. You know, he's like, I'm not getting ahead of the science, but we are moving that way, Chris. It's not like where we were after the holidays with the spikes. All of those have dropped, you know, and all that stuff has happened. So you got to adjust to what the science is telling you. And the science is telling you that bad wave we had right after everybody spent Christmas and New Year's with family and friends has dropped. So this all makes sense, and this is good news for the Nets. I mean, you know that. By that time, maybe Ben Simmons will be ready to play, and they'll have their full squad. Yeah, maybe. and the big thing is they'll have, you know, Chris, maybe a good the whole idea to me still, no matter how many games are left in the regular season when this is lifted and we don't know the exact date,
right,
is that you'll have Kyrie for the entire postseason. If the Nets have a series where they have 4 of the 7 games at home, then it's an advantage, or anyone, or 3 of the 4,
even
at
if they
home.
Right, because they may not have home court at all.
Exactly. No, because of where they went. Exactly. Right. But I'm saying it's a good thing, and it's what they could have. It's the thing that they wanted the most, is to have a whole team, and now it looks like it possibly could happen.
Well, it's so interesting, Rob, and there's so many questions. And I'm gonna throw out the first question. Did James Harden make a mistake? I mean, this was
going too early, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, this was a big part of his disillusionment with the Nets.
Right.
Why he was so upset. You remember when Kyrie first got back, Harden was like a kid in a candy store.
Well, he was acting like he knew something, because you remember he was.
He kept talking about Kyrie coming back for all the games, talking about he'll give him the shot himself. And I feel like once Harden saw that Kyrie wasn't going to be able to play, at least at that point, whether it was from the mandate being lifted that created his optimism, or he thought Kyrie might get a taste of it again and say, you know what, let me get out there every game, right? Whatever it was, Harden totally shut down. And I do think, Rob, that he made a mistake. Now, he's in a great situation still, playing with Joel Embiid. And the Nets, on paper, look like they're still a very good team as well. So they both still look good in theory.
Sure.
But we never got to see 16 games, Rob. They played, that is essentially 1 month of basketball together.
And
Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie, 13-3, 5-1 in the playoffs. And so I do think that's number one. And my answer to that question, Rob, would be yes. I think James Harden did make a mistake. I think he should have stayed with the Nets and seen what this big three could do. And I also think, Rob, and Harden has the opportunity to prove me wrong on this, but we've seen James Harden fail and get tight in big moments. And I think one of the greatest things for him, and I think one of the things he actually was looking forward to, was not having to carry the load, as not even half the load in the big moments. He could carry a third.
Right.
Because you had Kevin Durant was going to be your first option, or Kyrie. They were going to be the first two, no doubt. And he could be that distributor, right? Setting them up.
And we saw him do it very well.
Right. He's a terrific distributor. But now in Philadelphia, Rob, he's going to have to be the guy. Like he and Embiid. Embiid will certainly take his share of big shots too. But Harden's going to have to, he's going to have to play a bigger role in the clutch than he would have in Brooklyn. And yeah.
The other thing too, Chris, is now if Kyrie's back, it takes the pressure off of Ben Simmons about that shooting as well, Chris. So it works out for them in that he can do other stuff. He, distribute. He can rebound. He's a big guy. Defend.
Great defender. Pushes it in transition.
Right. And he's not the guy that you have to worry about. Like, you got two other guys who are big shot makers, right? Big shot makers.
Right.
So there's no pressure. The only thing I'd say if I was Durant or Kyrie is if you're under the basket, can you please dunk it at 6'10"?
or even lay it up. Just
Chris,
shoot it.
Right. Can you please?
No, I hear you, Rob. And I still think I'm with everybody that looks at it on paper and envisions Ben Simmons at his best saying, oh, my gosh. Right?
It fits.
It fits. And they needed defense. I mean, we think they had enough offense to overcome it.
Yeah.
But they certainly got much better defensively. And as you said, he can play near the basket. He's a distributor, all that. But there's still questions with him.
Well, we don't know his head. Right. Where his head is.
Well, why aren't you playing? Like tomorrow. At the very least, Rob, he should be coming back next week. I think they have a game Monday as well. He should be playing in that game.
Yeah, I don't know with all this time off. Like even Chris, if you weren't there with the Sixers or whatever, you're a pro basketball player, professional athlete. You should be in shape during your season. Like, I don't know what.
Yeah, right.
Why would you?
And
why
you were
would
supposed
you
to be working out, right?
Right.
Over the
whole
3
time.
months or whatever that you were in Philadelphia, not doing anything.
I don't care. Like, you might not be with the team, but you got to be ready to play, Chris. I would have been like in the gym every day. Let me put in my 2 or 3 hours, Chris, and then go on about your life. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
2 or 3 hours. People got to work 10 and 12 hours a day. And all you got to do is go to the gym, work out with a trainer and a shooting coach or a basketball coach, Chris, for 2 or 3 hours.
And let me put this in perspective for people, Rob. NBA training camp starts in September. They train for 1 week, and then they start playing preseason games. And then 2 weeks later, they start playing regular season games.
Right.
1 week, 3 weeks. So Ben Simmons was traded 2 weeks ago. So even if he had been lunching, not thinking he's getting traded, I'm relaxing now, and he still has had enough time to get ready to play. And we know I don't think he was lunching. I think he was doing at least something to be in some type of physical condition. And so I think there's that. That's still a question mark. And Rob, we talked about it on First Things First. I thought Nick Wright, my co-host, made a good point. Because, it was reported yesterday by Ramona Shelburne that Simmons is weeks away. I said, first of all, that should be days, if not hours away. But, okay, weeks away. Rob, March 10th was that a couple weeks away. They play at Philadelphia. He don't want to go there. He don't want to play in that game. If indeed he's weeks away, that is, in my belief, the he doesn't want, and that's not a good sign. Well, because same mental blocks that may have bothered you in Philly may still be there.
Well, and you're going to have to play. You could wind up playing Philadelphia in Eastern Conference in the playoffs.
Good chance of it, to be honest.
Yep.
And then here's the other thing, Rob. There was a story in the Philly Inquirer yesterday. I think it was the Inquirer, Philly.com. I read it. About how, and I had heard rumblings, a lot of people covering the league had heard rumblings over the years about this. But the story was just saying Ben Simmons was never happy playing second fiddle to Joel Embiid. And I had heard over the years that he and Embiid, it was a battle over whose team is it and all that. Well, if you didn't like being second fiddle, guess what, Ben? You're third fiddle in Brooklyn.
Right.
Because it goes Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, you. That's it. And so there are questions still. So, Rob, I want to see them on the court. I'm not going to sit here and declare, oh, they're the favorites now. I want to see them on the court. There's too many questions. I love them on paper, but I got to see how they look on the court. Because, Rob, they're 4-10 with Kyrie.
Yeah, but I'm going to say this, though. I think, Chris, that with Kyrie reinstalled, back into the everyday lineup and if this does happen, which we believe it will happen, I think they are the favorites in the East. I really do. I think that on paper with, adding Curry, I know Joe Harris has been out most of the year. If you look at that team, it's pretty loaded.
Looks good on paper.
It does. I know you got to still go out and do it, Chris, and do it. But on paper, man, I don't know what the weak spot is. I don't.
I don't think they have great leadership. Maybe they can overcome that.
Sometimes talent can.
Most teams have had some good leadership that won it. Because that's it. It's not about getting to the conference finals, even the finals. It's about
trying to win.
Winning
it
all.
Right.
And so we'll see, though.